Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be going over training for our Day of Giving Telethon, specifically for our volunteers serving in the call bank. So with that, let's jump in. Today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the telethon and the purpose, why this is an important fundraising event for us, how to actually operate the phone or our call system, how to navigate certain types of donations, and some of the most frequently asked questions you might receive from callers. So how do donations help us? Nearly 1.6 million pounds of food are distributed through our pet pantry to over 5,000 families. Donations like this really make sure that we're able to go out into the community and make sure families are staying together. We would like to keep pets in homes versus them coming to the shelter. Over 1,000 animals are able to benefit from behavior enrichment programs, which wouldn't be possible without donations coming in from the community. Over 1,000 families were served through our One Health programs. These are pay what you can clinics, where we offer vaccines and other preventative care services at a low cost or for free for families that need it. Our call center was able to field over 120,000 calls to families that were looking for animal-related resources and assistance. Again, these opportunities wouldn't be possible without donations that are coming into our shelters. So let's talk a little bit about stats from last year, from 2022. We received over 2,000 calls, and our peak hour was from 6 to 7 p.m. with over 848 calls coming in during that time. So depending on what time you're serving, you may have phones ringing off the hook, or there could be some downtime. Last year, we raised over $500,000, and we're hoping to break that goal this year. So a little bit of cleaning and safety that's important for you to know. Masks are currently optional. If you feel comfortable and would like to wear a mask on site, you are more than welcome, and we will have masks available for you. We will also have little sanitation stations available, including wipes to wipe off our headsets, our mice, and our computer keyboards. Food and drink will be available throughout the event. So we will have snacks available, and lunch and dinner will be served. Lunch will be served at 11 and go till 12, and then dinner will start at 4 and go till 5. So if you are either leaving right before 4 or coming in right at 4, you will be given a break so you can have a little bit of something in your tummy while you're answering calls for us. And then we're asking you to keep personal phone usage to a minimum. Those really should be put away since we'll be taking personal information from our donors. So a little bit about using the computer. Please make sure to ask for help if you need it. So a couple of bullet points here. Make sure if you need to remove yourself from your station and answering calls that you raise your hand. That's going to help one of our call bank supervisors step over and help you log out your system so calls aren't continuing to come in. We're also going to show you how to navigate between two screens. So the call system is going to be on one tab on your computer, and then the donation page is going to be on a second screen. So we'll walk through that just in a moment. Also, if you're having any trouble using your headset, again, just raise your hand. We'll have one of our call bank supervisors come over to help you. We can make sure you're connected correctly to your computer, and the same for volume control. If you feel like you're having any difficulty hearing, raise your hand. We can come help make sure the call volume is up on your actual laptop and on your headset as well. Next, we are going to talk a little bit about Sharpen, which is our program that is going to be our queue or our call bank for the donors that are calling in to the telethon line. So we are going to switch over right now and pull up what your system is going to look like. When you sit down at your laptop, you will have two different tabs. This is going to be Sharpen. Again, this is our call bank. And this is going to be our donation page. And there's going to be a script right on it. So it's going to make it super easy for you to answer calls and know exactly what to say to the callers when they're calling in. So right now we're going to switch over to Sharpen, and we're going to have someone call in to the Telethon line so you can see what it looks like when calls are coming in and how to answer those calls. Thank you so much for your patience, guys. Forgot a really important part right here. We need to make sure the call bank is turned on. So this is something when you get seated, your call bank supervisor is going to help you do. We're going to check this little box right here that was red to receiving calls. Now we should have calls actually coming in, and we're going to be looking for a little pop-up that's going to let us know that a call is coming in. And so we can see that right here. It pops up on our screen. This is the only way we're going to be answering calls. We're going to hover our mouse right over it and hit the accept button. And now we've answered the call. So what we're going to do as soon as we get to this page is we're going to flip over to our other tab, which is our donation page, and we're going to start going through this process with our caller. Hello, thank you so much for calling the Michigan Humane Day of Giving Telethon. May I please have the title and spelling of your name? And then we're going to go ahead and actually start entering in the caller's information. So anything you see with the red star is information that we do need to capture. Any of the other boxes like title and middle name are optional. So we're looking for first, last name, and then we're going to move right down to the next part here that says, may I please have your address and phone number? So again, we're going to collect their street address. So this is going to be your digits and your street. If they live in an apartment, that information is going to go right here on street 2. Then in this box, city, we're going to type in the city, state, and the zip code. Those are all really important. United States is already going to be automatically selected for you. And then we're going to collect our donor's phone number. This one is really important. We need to collect a phone number to make sure we're able to track what donor has made what donation for us. So if a caller does not want to give their phone number, that is okay. We can actually, whoops, sorry about that. We can actually just hit right over to our Sharpen tab again, and we can actually see the caller's number right here. So this is the number of the person that we are currently on the phone with. So I'm going to pop back over just so you can see that. And actually, you can actually copy it and paste it just like I did here. Maybe not, maybe it does have to be typed in. That's okay. We're going to have little pads of paper right next to you. So you can jot those numbers down, put them right on your pad of paper, and then switch over and go ahead and put the donor's phone number in there. Most people are really happy and willing to give the phone number when you say we're not going to put you on a call list. This is simply just for tracking your donation today, to make sure we can get in contact with you for some reason if we have any questions about the donation going through, mailing information, things of that nature. Next, you're going to see there's a star at the email. This one is also really important. We must have an email address. If a donor does not want to give their email address, that is okay. What we're going to do is take the donor's phone number, and then we're going to put a dot and then dovnell@convio.com. So that's going to be right here in your script, so you don't have to remember it. You're just going to go ahead again in this box here, pull your donor's phone number. You can actually just ask the caller to repeat their phone number for you, and then type in dovnell@convio.com. It's really important that we don't use the same phone number every single time. It does have to be unique to that caller. So we don't really want to use fake phone numbers. We want to use their phone number with this fake email address here. Then there's this little box here. It says unselect if they do not want email or you entered a fake email address. So if it's the actual donor's email, we can leave this box checked unless they say they would not like to receive for future solicitations, then we'll uncheck it, and the same if we've entered a fake email address. Next, it's going to take us to which credit card will you be using today? We accept Visa, Discover, American Express, and MasterCard. We're going to ask the donor to read the digits to us on the card and go ahead and start typing those numbers in. If you've gotten to the point of typing in the card, a great thing to do is to ask a donor to repeat the card number information to you instead of you repeating that information to a donor. That just helps us, again, protect their identity and keep noise down in the call center whenever possible. You're going to put in the expiration date and the CVV number. This is the number on the back of a credit card. So it's a little 3-digit number. I believe if it's American Express, it's a 4-digit number that you'd be looking for. The last bit of the script here is, will you be making a one-time gift, or would you consider an ongoing monthly gift to help care for animals year-round? And you can click yes if they would like to repeat this gift every month. If the answer is no and it's a one-time gift, that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and type the amount of their one-time gift in here. If you have any questions about how a donor would like to donate or how often they would like to donate and you're not sure how to answer that question, please raise your hand and one of the call bank supervisors will come over to you. It's really important too, if you have questions that you don't know how to answer for that donor, that you switch over back to your sharpened screen and put your call on hold. That button is going to be right here. So that hold button is right above this little picture. You're going to click that and now the call is on hold. Now you are okay to have conversation with Now you're on hold with that caller. Now it's okay for you to have conversation with that call bank supervisor. And once you have the answer to the question, you're good to remove them from off hold. Another really important bit of information for some phone etiquette is just make sure before you put a caller on hold that you actually say, just one moment, please. I'm going to put you on hold. I just have to ask some additional questions. And that's when you'll hit that hold button. And then once you're ready to speak to that caller again, you'll just click it. Thank you so much for holding. And then you'll be able to answer whatever question they had. Okay, back to our script. This additional notes sections, most time it's going to be blank. But if there is something that, again, there are special circumstances that come up or questions around making a donation, you'll want to switch back and put that caller on hold, raise your hand and have one of the call bank supervisors come over. It's rare that we'll need to put information in here, but certain types of donations we may. So again, we just want to make sure we collect all that information the first time around with our caller. Last is just, how did the caller hear about the telethon? So you'll check one of these options below here. And then finally, we're going to come down to processing the credit card. Make sure you stay on the call with the caller or with the donor until you see that that card has been processed. That's a really important part of the process here. You don't want to hang up with that person until you know that their card information has gone through. If by chance, for some reason, the card is declined or the processed card doesn't go through, that's okay. You'll just want to calmly let the caller know, sorry, it looks like the card didn't go through right away. Would you mind repeating your information for me, your card information? So that's the first thing you're going to check, is asking them to re-go over their card information. You want to make sure that they read to you every single digit and you're double checking that, as well as the expiration date and the CVC. And then the last thing you're going to want to check is their zip code. Sometimes people accidentally give their zip code that isn't associated with the billing address on their card. That's another reason a card might not go through. So just verifying those two things and then trying to reprocess the card is the way you'll want to go. If a card is declined for a second time, that's okay. We can still help the caller process a donation today, but we're going to direct them to mailing a check. We won't be able to actually process their card over the phone. And we will actually have that information available for you on an FAQ sheet next to your station that will have the mailing address and how they should fill out the check to get it to Michigan Humane. Okay, so that's how we're going to process a donation. The last step is moving back to our sharpen screen and actually thanking the donor for their call. Thank you so much for making a donation to the telethon today and supporting animals in our community at Michigan Humane. And then you're good to hang up the call. That button is right here. Once you've hung up the call, it's going to go ahead and give you 30 seconds break in between your next call. And as soon as those calls start coming in, you'll be able to see that little pop-up again. You might see some numbers here on the side. Those are things you're not going to want to click. You're only going to want to use that pop-up button that we're going to see one more time in just a second to know that you are getting a call into your line and you should answer it. So again, never choosing a call from here, only this pop-up that says incoming call, and we want to hit the accept button. Now we're online again with our caller. Thank you so much for calling the Michigan Humane Society Day of Giving Telethon. May I please have the title and spelling of your name? And we'll repeat that same process again. So one more time, I'm just going to show you a couple of things. This is how we're going to put a caller on hold. We're just going to hover over this button here. So this is if they ask a question that you're not sure how to help them, or you get stuck at any point during collecting the donation or answering a call. And make sure you're using that appropriate phone etiquette and saying, thank you so much. One moment, I'm just going to place you on hold while I get some assistance. And placing that call on hold. Once we finish processing that donation, again, we're going to thank the caller for making a donation with Michigan Humane and go ahead and hang up that call. And that is how we use Sharpen and how we're going to collect donations. So this is, again, toggling between those two screens. That's something you're definitely going to want to feel comfortable with for your shift. Promise you it's super easy after 1 or 2 tries. Very easy system to use. Okay. Back to our presentation. So a couple of things that we want to remind you again is it's really important to get that email address. If they aren't comfortable giving it, again, right in that screen there is going to be the Convio, the dovenull@convio.com. That's what you're going to want to put in with that donor's phone number. Again, some people may not feel comfortable giving their phone number. If that's the case, you can assure them we're not going to be using these phone numbers for any future solicitations. This is really just for donation tracking purposes today and for us to be able to get in contact with you again if we have any questions about your donation going through. If a caller isn't comfortable giving us their phone number, don't have to tell them this, but we can actually pull it right from that Sharpen page. Ask all callers to repeat their info for you. We're not going to repeat information back to the caller. And don't forget to smile. We want this to be a fun, friendly event for everyone. So when you are feeling happy and that smile is in your voice, your callers can hear it, and everyone is going to have a great time. A couple of little things to know about donations. Again, we talked briefly about mailing a donation. We're not going to encourage any callers to mail in a donation today, but they most certainly can get the mailing information from us. Credit cards are easier for us because they go through right away, whereas donations through checks take a little longer to be processed. So try to encourage making a donation with a card whenever possible. Just keeps the call bank moving as smoothly and as quickly as possible, especially when we get to those high call volume times. When we could have calls ringing off the hook and some people waiting in the queue. We're not going to be accepting any pledge donations today. Honor or memorial request donations, they're really by request only. If someone does request this, just make sure you raise your hand and put your caller on hold so that way your call bank supervisor can come over and assist you with making sure we collect the appropriate amount of information. A couple of our most commonly asked questions. Sometimes we're going to get folks calling in and they might have concerns or questions that aren't related to the telethon or making a donation. You definitely want to thank those people for calling in and let them know that you are going to give them information to connect them with the right people to handle their calls. That is going to be our regular 1-866 MHumane number. So we have that documented for you right on your FAQ sheet. If you're attending training on the day of, we will be going over a lot of these informations and showing you the FAQ sheets. If you're attending now with us virtually and watching the recording, those are going to be attached in our email for you to review. Don't hesitate at any time to reach out to any of our coordinators or our emails with questions you might have before the day of. We want the day of to be as smooth as possible for you. We might get some callers who are a little bit long-winded and love telling us about their animals and their experience with the telethon, and that's okay. If we are during slower call volume times and there's not a lot of calls waiting in the queue, it's okay to have a little bit more of a conversation with our callers and our donors. We love to hear their stories about their pets. Many of them have adopted from us in the past or regularly donate, and this is a really fun, exciting event for them. Feel free to talk with them. If it is a time where there are a lot of calls in the bank and calls are ringing off the hook, it's really important to keep our conversation short and sweet and really stick to the script at those times. So it's definitely important at that point not to engage the callers in any additional questions other than what's on the script. If you get any questions about animals featured today, those animals will be up for adoption the following day at our Mackey Center for Animal Care in Detroit. That information is also going to be on your FAQ sheet. So you'll want to let those callers know they can come during our regular adoption hours at our Mackey Center, and we'll have that address and information available for you. One last important thing, we are going to have the animals on site working during the telethon. So we're probably going to have puppies in our puppy playpen and kittens in our little kitten condo throughout the day. We will be doing some live feeds and connecting with our donors and callers throughout our social media channels, and also putting our live feeds on the news. So really important to make sure we're giving those animals their spaces to work and not going up to the playpens or to the animal areas unless you're instructed that it's okay to do so. We don't want to interfere with those little pups and kittens doing their work. So that completes our training for today. Again, don't worry if you haven't feel like you don't have everything down today. We will be meeting with everyone again on the day of just to go over this one more time and go over some more highlights. And of course, there will be attachments and you can reach out to us at any time. There will also be a live session happening this Friday at 4 p.m. from 4 to 5, and that date is February 5th. Am I getting that right? February 5th, this Friday. Again, that information will be in our follow-up email. Thank you all so much for attending. We hope you have a lovely day, and please don't hesitate to reach out with those questions.